So when they were telling you not to get attached to everybody's name that was on the poster, they were not kidding. Man, I hope I don't get put on team number one. Hey everybody, what's going on? Today we are going to be talking about the pseudo sequel, pseudo soft reboot, whatever you want to call it, of 2016 Suicide Squad. Today we're going to be talking about the Suicide Squad, a movie starring, well, a lot of people that you probably shouldn't get attached to. I warn you, there's going to be some spoilers in this review. I'm not going to spoil a lot of big things, but I do have to talk about some of the plot points. And I'll do my best not to spoil the big stuff. If you want my recommendation, definitely check it out. Whether at the theater or on HBO Max, it's totally worth it. This movie gets a lot right what the other one got wrong. You know, when I first saw the first one, I really did like it. But then when you really start to think about it, and that's a problem with doing these reviews, is a lot of times you have to get your review out so fast that your opinions might change over time. And my opinion of the original, though there was still lots of things that I liked, a lot of things still bothered me later whenever you'd really think about it. So my opinion of the original has changed since my review came out, because I know a lot of people will go back and say, but you said this. Well, times change and your thoughts change. And if I went back and re-reviewed every movie that I've ever done, I'm sure a lot of things would change. But anyway, this one gets right what that one got wrong. Plus, this movie, in the short, it's brutal and bloody. It's hilarious. It pokes fun at not only itself, but the superhero genre. It pokes fun of a lot of the tropes, a lot of different tropes, whether it be from this genre or not. And also, it takes a few pot shots at America. And America could use a little bit of, a little bit of taste of their own medicine. You know, they just, America needed to be knocked down a few pegs. And this one hits them a couple times, and it's hilarious. So yeah, there's going to be some minor spoilers. I will warn you when any big spoiler is going to come up. But yeah, I highly recommend the Suicide Squad. I liked every character in this, whether they're established already or not, or whether or not they're in it for very long. You like everybody, just what little bit, or whether they're in the movie for a little bit, or whether they are in it for the whole time. For those wondering, how much of this is a sequel to the original Suicide Squad, the only indication that I got was you've got a few shared characters. Of course, we've still got the original Amanda Waller. We still got Captain Boomerang, Harley. So you've got some connecting characters, and they do indicate that, you know, you could tell they've worked together, you know, along with Rick Flag. You could tell they've worked together before. They don't really mention the first movie, but it's just like, hey, you know, you'll have one character say, hey, Harley, how you doing? And, you know, like they've done this before, whereas in some of the other characters have not, you know, been on one of these missions, so, you know, they're real nervous, and you've got characters going like, yeah, we've done this before. So that's really only your connection to the original movie. It doesn't mention plot lines or missing characters or anything like that. So, and really, I mean, if you look at the performances, I'd say the majority of the established characters, there's not many, there's only a few, but either half or the majority of the established characters act exactly the same. If anyone really changed, I would say it would be Harley and Rick Flag. Harley, because we've seen this character a few different times, and Margot Robbie has picked up some of the some of the changes along with the character, and she's not the same character as she was in the first one. And then when I say that, I mean she doesn't act exactly the same. And then Rick Flag, he does it a little bit, but he's more fleshed out than he was the first time. In the first Suicide Squad, he should have been called Colonel Exposition, because that was his job, was to explain all the different characters. I mean, I can't remember the character's name, but it was the one that can climb anything. He's like, that's this guy, and he can climb anything. He was there to be exposition for the most part in the first movie. Granted, Joel Kinnaman has a great voice for it, but you don't want the character just being just all exposition. And though he gets a little bit in this one, his character does a lot more. He's involved a lot more. He actually has a bit of an arc in this. So the established characters, some of them have changed for the better, and then some of them are the same, and they didn't need to change. Like Amanda Waller is Amanda Waller. I mean, it's Viola Davis, being badass Amanda Waller. So you don't need her to change because she was perfect the first time. That's why they brought her back this time, right? So anyway, definitely check out. Again, no spoilers. Here's where the spoilers might start. But yeah, definitely check out the Suicide Squad if you don't want anything spoiled here. So what we got is the Suicide Squad is being put together, of course, by Amanda Waller. Task Force X. They don't like being called Suicide Squad. It's kind of, it's almost like a derogatory term for them. It's like, no, we're Task Force X. They're being sent on a mission to destroy a former Nazi experimental lab, and the only thing they know about it is it's called Project Starfish, which I'll talk about my issues with that in a minute. So they're sent on a mission, and again, we're going to have some minor spoilers here. Because Amanda Waller's Amanda Waller, she has side plans, and the team that they start building at the first, we start seeing who's all on it, and they give you a couple of established characters. They're the patsies. So another team can get in there undetected. So, like I said, they told you not to get attached to people. Well, you're gonna see people die. I mean, this is called the Suicide Squad, and they warned you already. So that's where the movie actually does something really good at first, is it kind of makes fun of the first one in a way, because it's like, here's your team, they are awesome, and now they're dead, and it was great. I loved it, because you don't see the title card until team number 2 is introduced, and then we get flashbacks for their introductions, and I thought that was pretty creative. When it comes to the characters, I liked every character in this, whether they're in it for a few minutes or the entire movie. I'm not going to start naming a bunch of names, because I don't want to spoil who makes it and who doesn't. But I will say this, is I liked every character. As silly as some of them are, and then there's also characters that you could have some of the most ridiculous character from DC Comics, and of course they were ridiculous in the comics, but they actually give them not only a fleshed out story, but they make it interesting and sometimes funny. Like Polka Dot Man, for example. Let's just say, and this actually works out to the benefit of the movie, he has mommy issues. So yeah, said mommy issues are not only interesting because you could just tell. See, because I'll keep using Polka Dot Man as an example. His character, a lot of the other inmates at Bel Rev make fun of him. You can tell they're making fun of him. I think some of the guards make fun of him too. Talking about, they're like, yeah, I need you for my birthday party because, he can throw polka dots and they're colorful and everything. Which, yeah, of course that character is silly. but we find out later that, these polka dots are really harming him, and the performance behind that is fantastic. But then again, also his character, not just him, but some of the other characters, we kind of see what they're seeing, and his is hilarious. Because again, we'll just say he's got mommy issues. So when it comes to characters, as some are there just for laughs, I mean, everyone was wondering about like Nathan Fillion's character TDK. We get to see what his powers really do, and it's a little underwhelming, and it's supposed to be. So all the different characters, you've got all these characters, and whether they're in it for a little bit, whether they're in it for the whole movie, or whether they're established or not, they're all interesting for when they're on screen. One thing I do have to talk about characters. Okay, this is not putting him down, because I like the performance, I like the character. But the character of Bloodsport, played by Idris Alba, was a little too similar to Deadshot. They did mix it up enough that it worked. Whereas in Deadshot had a good relationship with his daughter. And maybe they were doing this just to kind of say, well, we couldn't get Will Smith back, so here's this character that's kind of like him, but then we're going to turn it around on its head. His daughter visits him. The first thing they start doing is cussing each other out. The daughter gets in trouble. And the good father that Bloodsport is basically tells her, well, next time do it this way and you won't get caught. So they're not, it's not a happy family relationship. That being said, Amanda Waller still used the daughter against him, and it was, fairly similar to the original Suicide Squad, if I remember right. I haven't seen it in a while, but I could have swore she kind of said, I know you want to, I know you care about your daughter, maybe I'll let you see her. So the character was a little too similar. That being said, Idris Alba was still fun in this movie. He has a lot of fun scenes with John Cena's Peacemaker, and they have some back and forth, and that kind of plays into the humor of America. There's a fantastic scene of them killing people back and forth, trying to one-up each other, so that's a lot of fun. So that was one of my minor issues, though, was Bloodsport's a little too similar to Deadshot, but different enough that it still works. I will say this, another issue, let's just get the issues out of the way that I had. Another issue I had was, in a way, some of this movie was a little too predictable. I would have liked it to be good. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of fun, random stuff in this. But then there was times I was just kind of calling it out. This is what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. I was pretty close to figuring out who was going to survive. I was a little iffy on one, and ended up being wrong. But the rest, I was like, I know who's going to make it to the end. And then the predictability falls in with look, Amanda Waller is Amanda Waller, and Amanda Waller always has a plan B, C, D, E, F, and G, and probably further on. So there's going to be some betrayals and things like that. I mean, it's just it's par for the story of the Suicide Squad, and then the character of Amanda Waller to always have like backup plans, right? So it's going to happen. I figured out some of it, but it didn't really hurt the story that much. It's just it's like you just kind of know it's coming. So it's not terrible. But it's just like, I would have liked another real surprise or something like that. I would have loved to have had a surprise character or something that we didn't already know was going to be in this that would play into the story. And just get my last problem out of the way. Whoever decided to put Starro in the trailer is a moron. Starro would have been a fantastic surprise. Now, if you wanted to call the thing Project Starfish and people could speculate until it happened in the movie, that would have been fine. But putting Starro in the trailer, it's stupid. This would have been a really fun surprise for DC fans, especially fans of the comics and everything. Like one of my favorite episodes of Batman Beyond is when Starro has control of Superman, and the new Batman has to, face off against, a controlled Superman. And Starro would have been a fun character. Now, don't get me wrong, I love what they did with Starro in this. It was perfect. They had the mind control stuff and everything, and it was great. But I just would have rather them not told us that Starro was even in this. Again, you could have had, Amanda Waller, say, we're going to go on something called Project Starfish, and fans would have been like, could it be? And then sure enough, when Starro showed up, it would have blown our minds. But no, we spoiled it in the trailer, so that wasn't a good thing. When it comes to the action, it's brutal, it's bloody, it's violent, and it's fantastic. There's really not much more I can say. I bring up again the scene between Bloodsport and Peacemaker, where they are trying to one-up each other. Hilarious. Polka Dot Man, anytime he uses his powers, fantastic. There's some good scenes with Harley Quinn, which of course Margot Robbie's fantastic in this. She only gets better at the character each time she plays her. In this one, I really dug her performance in this as Harley Quinn. I wouldn't say it's toned down, but it's a little less in your face this time around. The quips are a little more subtle, so it just worked really good. I'm not saying she was perfect in the beginning, and she's only improved. She's improved on perfection. I do like some of her scenes because we get to see kind of how she sees the violence. So it's just kind of fun to see that. So yeah, the violence in this it's just what you would hope and expect from a James Gunn directed Suicide Squad movie. It's pretty fantastic. When it comes to the plot is exactly what I hoped it would be. It was just kind of, you've got these villains that, yeah, they're going to get 10 years off their sentence, but that doesn't really matter. But it'll get them out of the walls of Bel Rev for a little bit, so they're going to go. And just, that there's going to be betrayals from Amanda Waller. She's always got, something up her sleeve. The characters know it, but it happens anyway. So it's just kind of fun to watch them go on their journey. When it comes to, it's hard for me to pick out an MVP of these characters because I like them all for their own, every little thing they did. For everything I like that King Shark did, which, by the way, I love my Ron Funches version of King Shark. That's going to be probably my favorite King Shark. But this version's kind of fun as well. He plays off as kind of dumb, and he's trying to fit in, being a human. So it's still just really fun. I mean, I miss my quippy Ron Funches version, but from the Harley Quinn cartoon. But this one's fun as well. King Shark's pretty fun as well. So performance-wise, all of them did stuff I like, so it's hard for me to pick out, who I would say is like my favorite from the story or whatever. When it comes to the MVP of the characters in the movie, as in story-wise, it didn't really surprise me in the end who is the MVP, because this movie was very good, even though a lot of things were predictable. It still gives you some fun misdirection. Harley Quinn gets a weapon, and you think the whole time it's going to be important, and it kind of makes fun of a trope. And while Harley Quinn is important to the story, everyone is important to the story in this. Everyone has their part to play. And that's a sign of a good Suicide Squad movie or a good team movie even. It's fine that if a character stands out, But if everybody stands out, that means the actors are all doing a good job at making everyone feel like a team. And the movie did a very good job of that. I thought the movie looked fantastic. The movie's a lot of fun. There's not much more I'm going to say about it. Though I had my minor issues with it, it's nothing that really affected my enjoyment of the movie. The movie made fun of the right things. The humor was spot on. The performances were a lot of fun, whether they're in the movie for a little bit or they're in the movie the whole time. There is a after credit scene that sets up something else. I won't say it sets up a sequel to this, but it sets up something else. If you've been following up about what they're going to do with HBO Max, you'll know what's coming. But the movie's a lot of fun. The Suicide Squad did a lot right what the other did wrong. They plucked what was good from the first one and brought it into this one and used them in just the right ways. I highly recommend the Suicide Squad. There's not much more to say about it. Definitely check it out in theaters or on HBO Max. Until next time, see you later.